First of all, a little apology for the slight little ghetto setup and the fact that I mostly won't be properly in the frame, nor will I be sharp, but that's not important, because what is important is today checking the Dell Alienware Aurora R5 case and the machine itself. This is the second video. The first video was all about the gaming performance at 1440p. I just wanted to show off how well it performs in that regard. I was planning to do the same video in 4K, but then decided to just briefly cover that later in the full review. So today it's all about the design of the case, the construction, the insights, how easy it is to upgrade things and what you can actually upgrade. So I would say let's just start off with the design itself. As you can see here on the right side, we have the panel here. These parts here are illuminated, of course, in all the colors you would want to, along with some ventilation. If we check the other side, as you can see here, no room for ventilation, but it's not needed, and I will show you why in just a second. And these drives as well are illuminated. So let's just cover the front now, and as you can see, it looks definitely quite neat and minimalistic. This would be close together, but I have that open to show you off once we take off the top. There is space for an optical drive, but my version just doesn't have that one. It's optional, at least from what I know. And this is already the reason why there is no ventilation, because there's nothing to see here. And the only reason to take this actually off is if you want to take off the top, which you don't need to, because the only thing that you have to take off is the other panel if you want to upgrade or anything. Anything else is absolutely optional. The lighting here is done via a cable. On the other side, it's a little bit different. So let's put this back here again, and let me quickly cover the specs just in case you care for those. This is the Intel i7 6700K version with 4.2 GHz overclock, or 4.2, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080, 16 gigs of RAM, 2133 MHz. There is a faster option as well available. As you can see here, the 256 GB SSD, 2 TB hard drive. So this is pretty much the highest and base version. There are some options you can add. As you can see, almost 15 kilograms, which for its compact size is actually quite a lot, but that would be it. So what I want to cover now is the actual back so we can see the ports. I hope they are visible. So here we have an optical port, here we have coaxial, here we have 6 USB 2.0 along with gigabit Ethernet, the display port, but you won't really need that since we have the GTX 1080 here with all those nice ports. We have USB Type-C, 4 USB 3.0s, the panel for the sound card, and here we have the PSU. Now, in case you are wondering, how do I get this off? This is really nicely done, because all you have to do is you have to pull this to the top. There is one also at the bottom which you can see. Pull that, and all you have to do then is pull this lever, shake a little bit, and you will be able to take it off. And that is already it. And here are the magnets that replace kind of the cable on the other side, because here you will need to open it and you won't really, or you don't want to change the cable all the time. So this is done via magnets here, definitely quite nice. If you take a look at the inside, which I will do just a second, let me just change the camera here so I can show you things a little bit closer, and I hope the kind of inception thing here was still okay. So now let's take a look at the whole PC without opening it actually, because you can take this part and just pull it out. So let's see what we've got. Here we have place for two 2.5-inch drives. There are also 2 more PS or PCI Express slots. But the problem is, if you want to use maybe a second graphics card for SLI, the other one I'm pretty sure will be blocked. If not, I would be really surprised actually, if it actually is possible. But I guess it should be SLI compatible, but then there's no place for a sound card, and I would definitely recommend you to replace the one, because the stock one is not all that good. Here we have a 120mm fan, and as you can see here, if you go a little bit closer, here we have the M.2 slot for the SSD, which is a really fast one from Samsung, so definitely nice. And of course there are some more ports, and here we can see the blower style of the GeForce GTX. What is really nice that we get an actual modular PSU. And what I also like in terms of the whole layout is that all the cables come from here in terms of the power, and all you have to do is just put them somewhere here, route them here, and this is definitely neatly done, and you have all the space to access everything quite easy, same as for the hard drive. You can easily replace that one without any problems. Just push that, take it out, and you have it removed. That is all good and fine. You can replace everything, pretty much everything, also toolless, which is also the case here for the graphics card, because if you now push that outside, this is a little bit hard to get with one hand. The card, as you can see, is actually just put into, and once you close this, this will push against it and the card is secured. So now if we push this outside, as you can see here in the other angle, you can just take this apart. And then we have access to the insides. And if we take a look at those, here we have the 4 DIMM slots. There are 2 already taken. So you could upgrade this to 32 gigabytes. Of course, if you use 16 gigabyte sticks, then you could go up to 64, but I guess 42 is already good, since 16 is already absolutely fine. Here we have the water-cooled system, and if we take a look at the top, we will see the 120mm fan along with the radiator, and we will see that one as well a little bit closer up top as well. Here we have the cooler here for the chipset, and here is the GTX once again, here with this plastic holding it in place so it won't fall down. So this is definitely neatly done. I definitely like this solution, along with the PSU being actually in front, because it makes the whole system a lot more compact, which is definitely a bonus here in my book. But if you use the air-cooled version, you won't be able to use the biggest air cooler. Now, if we take off the top now, this can be easily done. All you have to do is take one panel off, remove this screw, and on the other side there is one screw more, and that's the reason why you actually have to take off the other side. But like I said, to upgrade things, that's absolutely not necessary. And once we take off the top, we will see the 120mm radiator. It's a quite thick one, and it definitely performs really well. But I will get into heat and noise a little bit more in depth later on in the review, if I will be able to put that on properly, which I am not right now. With one hand we can see a few more ports, 4 USB 3.0 ports, along with the headphone jack and microphone jack, but I would recommend you just not to use them at all, because I had some kind of interferences, so the sound was a little bit distorted. So if you want to use the sound card, the inbuilt one that already isn't all that well in terms of quality, you can use it, but I would maybe recommend you to use an USB one, if maybe the slots are already taken, or find some other solution, because I wasn't all that happy. Now, we've covered the good side. It is very compact, everything is easily accessible, mostly toolless in terms of upgrading, and all you have to do is just take off the one panel, which is quite easy, as I showed you. The one thing that I have to mention in terms of the not so great part is that this is just plastics and not something a little bit more premium like aluminum or something like that. And the fact that this is all just bare steel, not kind of black coated or something like that, which is not really an issue. But the whole case itself still feels maybe not super premium, but definitely sturdy enough. I don't see the problem. You can take this part and actually pull up or lift up the whole device once it is screwed, and nothing will happen. So this is definitely very secure, and I don't see any issues in using this like it is. So overall, I like the construction. It could have maybe been a little bit more flexible, because you don't have too much upgrade possibility in terms of the drives. Same goes for this, since it is a small main board, you don't have all that many ports or slots. But everything else, we have only one slot or place for the 3.5mm jack. If we just quickly cover the temperatures or the heat as a spoiler for the review, the system itself is very, very quiet. Not maybe silent, but definitely great. The fan speeds go from 500 to 4400, which then ends in a jet turbine, but you won't need it. And usually, even under heavy load, it was maybe like 1200 rotations per minute, and very, very quiet. So even under load, it's very quiet, but it's never really silent, never completely, because of the fact of the PSU, because the PSU has the loudest fan. I would have definitely wished for a semi-passive PSU, because then this system on idle would have been completely silent, which is not the case. Of course, you could replace the fans as well, which is not necessary, because those, along with the radiator, make up for a really good solution, and the temperatures will be in the full review. But it's the PSU that I'm a little bit disappointed that they skimped out on that, making it semi-passive or actually quiet, because there are normal active power supplies that are definitely way more quiet than this one. This is audible, really subtle, definitely really subtle, and along with the whole system in idle, not a issue, not a deal breaker, but kind of wasted potential. They could have made it completely silent. But that's all I have to say. And if you have any further questions about anything else here, just leave them down in the comments. I hope this video was kind of helpful and you leave a like. And if you want to see more coverage of that or anything similar, just leave a subscription. Okay, I see you next time. Bye.